Hi everyone, and welcome back to Queen G's Recipes, and today I'm going to be showing you something a little bit different. I'm going to be showing you how to make a homemade white sandwich bread loaf. Very simple to make, very easy, very few ingredients, and most definitely ingredients you probably already have on hand, which is just great for this recipe. And you can make more loaves, you can freeze them. I mean, especially when autumn and winter are just around the corner, or at least here in my country. But most definitely it's going to be a crowd pleaser. So let's move on to the ingredients we will be needing. So what I have here is 1 cup of milk, and I've also added 1/4 cup of water. So in total, 1 1/4 cup of liquids here. I have warmed it up in my microwave for 45 seconds. Now you don't want your liquids to be too hot, and you don't want them to be cold, or it won't activate your yeast. So my microwave is 45 seconds, but every microwave varies. So most definitely you're going to need it between 110 to about 120 degrees. So that's that. And here we have 2 tablespoons of sugar. I have 3 tablespoons of olive oil. If you don't have olive oil on hand, you can also use any form of vegetable oil. Here we have some quick rise yeast, and in here I have 3 1/4 cups of bread flour, and I have also added 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt. Now, to me, it is pretty necessary to have bread flour, but if you don't have it on hand, then go ahead and use just regular flour. It should work out just fine. So here I have a regular loaf pan, which I have greased and floured here, okay? And I also have a bowl over there, which I have also greased, where we will be placing our dough once it is complete. Now I'm going to be making my bread dough in my standing mixer with my dough attachment. Most definitely it is much easier than having to knead it with your hands, but if you don't have a machine, then you're just gonna have to knead it for about a few minutes longer. So we're going to be kneading our bread for about 5 minutes in the machine, so maybe about 7 or 8 minutes if you're kneading it by hand. So let's move on. Okay, so now into our warm mixture here, we're going to add in our sugar. We're going to add in our olive oil, all right? And we're also going to add in 2 teaspoons of yeast. If you don't have your yeast in a jar like this, you can just add in 1 package. So it is the package where they come in the 3 packages together, you would use only 1. So we're going to be adding in 2 teaspoons of this, or as I said, 1 package of yeast, 7 grams. Okay. Now we're going to give it just a little mix here. Now the yeast feeds off of the sugar, so you want to make sure you add that in. Okay. Now we're going to let this sit for about 5 minutes, allow it to activate. You always want to make sure before making a recipe that requires yeast that your yeast is not expired. So you want to make sure, or else it will not activate at all. Okay, so let's set this aside for a few minutes, and then we'll work on our bread dough. Okay, so after 5 minutes, you can see the yeast coming through to the top here. That's how you know that your yeast is activating perfectly. Just wanted to show you up close here. This is what you're looking for. So that's perfect. Now, when I mentioned you need your liquids between 110 and 120 degrees, it is Fahrenheit. So just to clarify that. And so let's move on. Okay, so I have already placed my dough hook on here, and now I'm going to place all of my liquids in here and my yeast, which has already been activated. So that's set, and now we add in our flour and salt. That's about it. Very, very easy to make. And now we're going to start off on low speed so we don't have flour going everywhere. And then we are going to knead this for about 5 minutes. As I mentioned, if you're doing it by hand, you're going to be kneading it for an extra few minutes. Okay, so it's been about 5 minutes and our dough is just perfect here. Nice and soft and a little bit tacky, exactly how you want it. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take my dough and I'm going to place it on a lightly floured surface, and we are just going to prepare it to place in the pan. No more kneading required. Okay, so just with a little bit of flour, you don't need to place too much here. We are going to just prepare our dough here. Okay, just to kind of roll it out and place it in our pan. Doesn't have to be perfect, but just so you have an idea. Okay, just roll it in like that. Make sure the seams are down here. I just pinch it in a little bit. It's not super important, but I think it helps. So don't add too much extra flour because you don't want to have a heavy, hard dough. And just kind of tuck in the sides a little bit, like this. Okay. Then we'll get our pan. And we'll just place it in our pan, like that. And now we're going to allow this to rise until it has reached a little bit, probably 1/4 of an inch above our pan. So I'm gonna cover it with some plastic wrap, and then I'm gonna cover it with a nice clean tea towel, and I'm gonna place it in my microwave with the microwave turned off, of course. And we're just gonna leave it in there to rise, or any warm place that you have in your home. You can also place it in your oven, also turned off, and just keep it in there until it has risen to the height that I mentioned to you. So now I'm going to cover this with plastic wrap. Okay. And then I'm going to cover it with my clean tea towel here, like that. And I'll place it in my microwave and allow it to rise. And then I'll let you know what it looks like when it's time to be baked. Okay, so now it should take about 45 minutes to an hour to rise, depending on the temperature in the room that you were placing it in. So about that 45 minutes to an hour, but I'll let you know what mine looks like when it's done and how long it took to get to that point. Okay, so my bread was rising in the microwave, covered with my microwave off for 1 hour, and now look at this beauty. It is gorgeous and it is ready to be placed in the oven. Now, the great thing about this recipe is that you don't need to allow it to rise twice, like in the bowl and then allow it to rise again in the loaf pan. So it's just a one-time rising, which is just perfect and easy. So now I already have my oven preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And now we are ready to place it in there for about 35 minutes or so. So I will allow it to bake, and I will let you guys know what it looks like when it's done and how long it was in there for. Now, after about 15 minutes of baking, you want to place a piece of aluminum foil carefully on top of the pan, very gently, just to lightly cover the pan so that the top of your bread doesn't burn, because it will start to brown quickly. It's normal. So you want to do that after about 15-20 minutes. So let's get to baking. Okay, so my bread baked for exactly 40 minutes. After 15 minutes, I covered it with some aluminum foil. This is exactly what I did. I just crumpled up some aluminum on the sides and kind of just made it fit before I actually placed it on the bread. And then just lightly, I just placed it on top like this while it was in the oven, because you don't want to touch it so the bread doesn't start to deflate. So just lightly cover it after 15 minutes, and then I left it until it continued to bake and was completely baked. So now after 40 minutes, we have this gorgeous bread here. It is piping hot. Now I'm going to leave it in the pan for about 10 minutes, and then gently I will run a butter knife just to make sure everything is nice and loose, which it should be. And then we're definitely going to try some with some butter. Okay, so my bread has been resting in the pan for about 10 minutes. And now I am going to gently, very carefully remove the pan and place my bread on my cutting board. And look how amazing this is. Oh my goodness. It smells amazing in here, just amazing. So we're ready to slice our bread. Okay, so I turn my cutting board here so you could see me slice it. Once you try this recipe, you will never want to buy white loaf bread at the store. It is just perfection. Look at this. I'm going to zoom it so you guys can see it up close. Wow, amazing. And it doesn't have a hard crust. It is exactly like the white bread that you buy, the loaves of white sandwich bread that you buy at the store. It is like soft. It is just perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna place it on a plate here and add some softened butter to it. And we're gonna try it. You can use it for sandwiches, you can use it for toasting in the morning. You can use it for whatever you want. It is so delicious, so perfect. Oh my goodness. And it comes out perfect every single time. It is a no-fail recipe for sure. Okay, so now we have some soft butter on here. Now we're gonna try it. Okay guys, it is just perfection. It is so good, so soft, so perfect. Can be eaten just as it is on sandwiches and it will be perfection. Trust me, you have to try this recipe. You are gonna love it. So simple to make. Only one time you have to allow it to rise and that's about it. It's so simple with very few ingredients. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed making this video for you guys. I also wanted to give you one tip. Once you remove your bread out of the oven and you allow it to sit for 10 minutes at room temperature, make sure you just put a nice clean linen tea towel on top of your bread gently until it is time to remove it from the pan. So leave it covered with the tea towel and your bread will just be perfection. Look, it is soft. It is just amazing. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a nice big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you will be notified every time I upload a new and delicious recipe. So share the recipe with your family and friends and just enjoy it, everyone. So I'll see you in my next video. Take care. Bye, everyone.